All right, we have Mark Garrett here in the studio, in the Make Weird Music Studios in Mesa, Arizona. Mm-hmm. Mark is from Cardivox Academy. He has an awesome channel. Why don't you tell people about it?
So, I will. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, so Cardivox Academy is a channel where I do a lot of reaction videos, but I focus on extreme metal vocalization education. I myself have been a metal vocalist for 15 years. Glassy waters. Give or take. I don't remember when I exactly started, but 15, I know for sure is true. And then my primary job, actually outside of YouTube, is giving vocal lessons. I do metal vocals in a band called Kardashev, and then I teach people how to do guttural, crazy, nasty noises safely and efficiently. So if I take like a false chord vocal, lift it up, ay. Okay, so there's our sound. We can squeeze it. A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. That's the whole focus of my channel, just teaching people how to do guttural, crazy screams without hurting themselves.
Yeah, so I met Mark at this YouTube event. Mm-hmm. And if we were as good as the girl in the yellow dress with 26 million subscribers who was there, we would say YouTube had us over a mansion in Phoenix.
Yeah.
For a very important VIP party. She nailed it. Like her, I don't know if you saw her videos or anything, but yeah.
Oh,
That was like the title. It was like YouTube invited me to a mansion. I would be more like, I ended up in a room with a lot of YouTube people.
For me, it's I got invited by somebody who was invited. I got invited by somebody who was invited to that. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, it was beautiful. Wrigley Mansion. I remember being like, dang, I did not know what I was signing up for.
Yeah.
I almost didn't even like dress nice, but my wife was like, it's always good to just she knows. I'm so thankful I listened to her advice because I showed up and I was like, whew.
Some really cool people, so hopefully there will be more musical collaborations between all of us Arizona-based YouTube creators.
There are many more than I realized, although with Phoenix being such a large city, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so I met Mark, and it was like, wow, you are really into this death metal vocal thing. Have you heard Mike Patton? Mm-hmm. Have you heard Meshuggah? And the response was basically, yes, but my channel, it's probably a little outside the bounds of my channel.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
So today we are going to go venture in that direction. I'm going to play some of those songs for Mark, and then Mark has a plan for me. What's your plan?
So my plan is okay, here's the thing. We had talked about when we were at this event showing each other 2 songs. So I have a list of like 5, and we're not going to listen to all of them, but we have some options. So we could explore the lesser known corners of black metal. Because when most people think about black metal, they think of like Behemoth or like Darkthrone or, Cradle of Filth. Great bands, right? But there's a whole lot more black metal that a lot of people aren't aware of. And so that would be a very fun avenue to go down. There's also an avenue, one song we could pick, which is people who are like very in the metal world, they wouldn't think that this is weird music, but maybe people more outside of the metal world would think it's weird. There's a band called Vildhjarta who they started this genre. Some people are like, it's not a genre, but this thing called Thal, which has very interesting like composition to it, like very interesting riffs with the guitars. Like it sounds like somebody making a lot of mistakes, but actually really strategically, and it sounds really cool. There's a lot of like weird bends.
Let's definitely go into that.
Okay, we can go into that one. And then there's one that's just something I find beautiful that's a really weird vibe. It's not metal at all, though. It's not metal at all.
Right,
but it's just beautiful, and it's a really weird vibe. The black metal stuff would be the weirdest. That's the weirdest. The Thal stuff would be weirdest outside of the metal community, and then the other stuff is just like strange.
Okay, cool. Where do you want to start? Do you want to go first?
Well,
I have a piece I've been pretty excited to play for.
Let's start with you then.
And it's not that long. It's kind of short.
That's another problem I had is I love really long songs. I love like 10, 15-minute masterpieces.
Oh.
So Not everything is that long. Not everything is that long.
This is a track called Charade by the band Fantômas.
Okay.
With Mike Patton on vocals.
There we go.
And the album's called Director's Cut because they did all of these movie soundtrack themes in this kind of wild, heavy style.
Sure.
This one is my favorite, even though it's one of the least played on the record.
That's how it always goes.
Yeah. I think the theme was written by Henry Mancini. But Patton does this incredible thing with his breathing, like rhythmic breathing.
Okay.
Let's take a listen.
Let's check it out.
All right. Here we go. What are your thoughts?
So my first thought is that Serj Tankian absolutely is a Mike Patton fan.
Oh, without a doubt.
There's no question. So this is actually the first song I've ever heard with Mike Patton all the way through.
Really?
Yeah, because like we talked about, my channel and my work forces me to be very deep in the deathcore world. Right? Now, I like deathcore. Deathcore is great, but it's, I have to listen to all this music for my job. So there's a lot of music I don't get the chance to explore, right? But yeah, my first thought is that, my first thought was about Serj Tankian. The voices are placed very, very similarly. Like, obviously, he's doing all that really high, really distorted, like, bop, 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 like, sort of stuff. But when he comes in with his singing, like, Serj, I'm not going to sing like Serj or Mike Patton right now, but they both sing very, like, at least in this song, I'm not talking about Mike Patton in his totality, but they both seem very, like, forward and very, like, trying to think of how to say this in a way that comes across properly. Speaking on pitch very efficiently when he's in his chest voice. So he's taking na 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 na, and you can like hear the vibration in the front of his face. And then there was just so much stuff, like not overstimulating but highly stimulating. Like there's this one sound that sounded like somebody like scraping a guitar pick over a string, and then that just panned left. Why? Because why not? You know, let's just pan it this way, and then you think you're going to hear a traditional drum fill, and instead something entirely different happens. So I like once my brain was able to stop thinking about Serj Tankian, because it's overall, you know, different enough, very different. I was able to see like these people are making chaos make a whole lot of sense. So we're definitely going to check out vildhjarta in that case.
Okay, yeah.
This is probably more chaotic.
Once you described it, I was like, yeah, we got to go there.
Yeah, there's like a lot of not traditional. There's a lot. I tend to like a lot of music that, you know, I don't want to say challenges norms, because that's, you know,
well, weird music. That's the whole
exactly. Yeah, but like, you know, I really like music that isn't worried about like, oh, that's not how you write a song. That's the wrong way to write a song, or something like that. Because there's a bunch of stuff in there that was very jarring, but in a very interesting way, you know. So,
and this is one of the more tame Patton
really
tracks. Oh yeah,
wow.
There's some stuff with Mr. Bungle which is, it's just like it goes from cartoon music and sounds to circus death metal to real grungy, you know, and dance electronic, all on the same track.
Sure.
There's one where he's doing Gregorian chant, and then like
wow,
spoken word, and it's just, he's insane. He's totally insane.
Well, I know a lot of people. So even though, like I said, this is the first song of his I've heard, I'm very familiar with like his legacy, his mythos almost. Because actually, funny enough, the way I learned about him was I started doing this thing where I would scream while pulling on my cheeks.
I've seen your thumbnails and I watched your videos. Yeah.
And in one of my videos, I said, I can't remember what I said, but I said, I know I'm not the first person to have done this. So if anybody knows somebody who's pulled on their beard before, let me know. And somebody's like, oh, Mike Patton did that in like this performance. And I was like, I've never heard of that person. And so I did watch a little clip of him. I didn't find the right clip because I didn't see him doing this, although I fully believe he did.
Oh, yeah.
Because if there's a thing to try, he's tried it.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he's tried. You know, the funny thing about it is like, from this one thing I've heard, and from what I've been told about Mike Patton, I think that you could probably make the argument that he is a metal vocalist, or incorporates a lot of metal into his, but like he's like very metal in spirit.
Oh yeah.
There's some music that like, even if it's only partially metal or it's not metal, it still is metal in vibe. Right. One of the songs I have is metal in vibe but not metal.
Like That's So Metal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even though maybe it doesn't have the traditional, like, you know, the traditional riffs and things.
And
so
I mean, in the last verse of the song, he's singing an octave high. You know, like this falsetto. He nails just the delivery, and his range is incredible. Yeah. He's got the low growl and he's got the super high whatever. And then I don't know if you heard, but in some of the noise stuff, he's just screaming in the background. Like,
yeah, that was not a bad like fry tone actually. Thank you. That wasn't that bad. I was hey. He's really good, at least from what I can tell of this song, at doing some wild and goofy stuff while not sounding wild and goofy. Like you can take it very seriously, even though he's just, I don't want to say just, but he's doing things that I feel like a lot of other people, if they tried to pull him off, it would sound silly. It'd be like, don't do that. Don't do that at the mic. But he's making it work. So let me ask you this. Obviously, you know, like I've heard of Mr. Bungle before. He's got a lot of stuff. Why this song specifically? I know you said it's one of your favorites, but what is it about this song where you're like, yeah, I gotta show this to Mark?
It's accessible.
Yeah, that's good.
It's something that you can just get into, where it's not just like total nonsense. He's got a solo vocal album called Pranzo Oltransista.
Do you mean like a cappella? Like oh whoa.
But it's just his body.
Whoa.
And it is out there.
I'm sure.
I mean, there's like, you know, like
all
sorts of out there stuff. That's way too much. You know, that's to me. There's like this spectrum of the artist makes music for the artist, and the artist makes music for the audience.
Yeah.
And this is a piece that's in the middle to me. Prenzo El Transista is way on the I made this for myself side.
Yeah.
And it's like, if only Mike Patton enjoyed that, that would have been good enough for him.
Yeah, you know? Probably so. Yeah, probably so.
So this is like a musical, step into, and I think this album in particular, if you're not familiar with Mike Patton, this is a great way to get in. It's called The Director's Cut by the band Fantômas. And the next step in, I would recommend, is Mr. Bungle's album California.
Yeah.
But then the second out, that's their third album. The second album is so out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so out. Like,
that's what I've heard about Mr. Bungle, and it's like really like wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first track is just like this really deep, dark dirge called All My High School Friends Are Dead, I think.
Wow.
Just about all these people die. And then it goes immediately... The rest of the album is literal nonsense gibberish lyrics.
Oh.
Like, he's just making sounds.
Nice.
So,
nice.
I would start with Fantômas, and maybe even Faith No More for your listeners who are more into
Faith No More. That there are some people in our community who are fans of Faith No More. That's a name that's a name that gets stirred around the circles for sure.
Yeah, so Faith No More is a very safe entry point for Mike Patton, but he doesn't get to really
be Mike Patton.
Right. Fantômas to me is like where he can be much more accessible, but also gets into himself. Bungle is like the next level, the fourth level of hell for Mike Patton.
Sure.
And then Mike's solo stuff is just really strange.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Unmitigated.
Yeah, well, that's a wild pick.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
That's a wild pick.
Let's go to yours.
So, I think let's actually start off with vildhjarta. We'll do the black metal stuff. We'll save the black metal stuff for the end because that's my favorite. But let's start off with vildhjarta. So vildhjarta is a band out of Sweden, and I really don't know much about their history, but I know they jumped onto the scene with this amazing album. One of my favorite albums ever written, actually, in the history of all albums.
Wow.
Is this album called Mustaden, and it tells the story of this village of animal people and the dark goings on of that village. And it's got some really amazing lyrics. It's got some other lyrics where you're take it or leave it, but it's got some really awesome lines that are just vocally delivered very well. And I want to do this song because vildhjarta, they really a lot of bands have built from them. Now, when we listen to this, you're going to probably hear some Meshuggah influence. You're going to hear, because they kind of build from the polyrhythmic, asynchronous sounds that you hear a lot in gent. Gent's not a genre. I don't know. Is it not? I don't know. I'm gonna die someday. I'm not gonna worry about that sort of thing. Yeah. It's all whatever to me. So you're gonna hear some of these influences, but they really take it and they sort of. Listening to vildhjarta, to me especially, I'm used to it now, but when I first heard it, it's like somebody put a hook in my sternum and they just started tugging me around wherever they wanted me to go. Right. It's like what a fish must feel when it's being reeled in on a speedboat.
That's how I felt with the Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yeah, that's fair.
Infinity album.
That's fair. Although after this, I think you're gonna listen to vildhjarta and be like, "That's tame, bro."
Mentioning Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yeah.
Patton did an album with Dillinger. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, it's an EP. It's short. He did a tour and everything.
I'm not surprised he did it.
But yeah, you should check that out.
I'm not surprised he did it at all.
So for your listeners, if they're looking for another safer or an easier way to get in, because you can listen to the first Mike Patton thing and be like, no.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, vildhjarta.
Vildhjarta, yeah. Here, I'll type it in here. It's kind of weird to spell Vildh. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick the song on the album that is the most accessible. And we're going to go, so they remixed the album. They have their Forte remix, but we're going to go with the original because that's where we all heard it. So there are a lot of great songs here, but we're going to start with Traces, which was you can see from the play count. It's one of the main songs. So, Traces, Vildhjarta, here we go.
I love when they play with time like that.
Oh yeah,
Super
yeah.
cool.
remember if they did something, but
that was fun.
Yeah,
It's a cool track.
it's a very cool track. It's like the other one, the most digestible, introductory, easy to access. There are some songs on that album where it's just like all of those like playing with time, like it's just like to the max. And the first time I listened to this album, I found it a little hard to listen to in some parts.
Really?
But that one has, you know, some more followable structures and things. But one of the reasons I love that track so much is because obviously like it's very melodic, but I find it impressive how they have played with time and played with your expectations so much, and yet it's so easy to vibe with, right? Like Vildhjarta is one of the things I love about this band is they'll do the thing you want once. So the end where it's like da na 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 na, they do that da dom ba na na na, and you're counting it in your head, and then they don't do it again. And so like again, subvert expectations is one of those phrases that it's like every band puts in their bio so that you buy their record, you know, we subvert expectations. But like really they do, and they do it in such a really good way. And I think that a lot of bands have taken this thal sound and done things with it.
Yeah.
But what I don't think any band has done is gotten the ability to cascade across itself the way that the songs in this do. Like this song, like very compositional, like it feels like a wave, and like, you know, a wave like is constantly falling forward over itself. And you get that vibe with the two vocalists, which you heard. You're like, this is two vocalists, right?
Right.
Like, yeah. You get the two vocalists and like these weird time signatures and these like strange subverted expectations and these like starts and stops. You know, it feels very. I think this band to me feels very watery, but like aggressively watery, not like, you know.
Did you listen to Car Bomb?
I did listen to Car Bomb.
So
yeah,
I heard a lot of that similar kind of stuff. Where
yeah,
Car Bomb. I don't know if you got to any of the tracks where it was like just constant descending sounds, like do 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 do. It's like everything is slowing down.
Yeah.
From pitch to tempo. I was just listening to it this morning, like. How are they doing this? You know, like just as a guitar player, I'm like, are they detuning the? No, that doesn't make sense. They don't detune the strings, but just like similar kind of stuff. As a guitarist listening to this, going, okay, they've got the bow bow bow. You know, I've got my 9-string.
Yeah, there you go.
Gent machine right up there. But yeah, to hear what they're doing, a lot of these guys, it's like. It's so chaotic and chromatic. You know, they're using the halftone separations.
Exactly, yeah.
And the open string with the half step down on the next string. Just creating that real conflict. But the conflict is so short. It's like... And
then done.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And, exactly. And I think that's one thing that I really like about this band is that a lot of times, like... And obviously, what I'm about to say is very subjective, right? But, like... Oftentimes in music we have to make compromises, right? So like, for example, in like the harsh vocals that I do, like you're gonna lose a lot of emotionality because there's no audible pitch, there's no like root note that we can pull from, but you get the crazy monster sound. One thing that I find in myself and a lot of people that I talk to is that when a song leans more on like those like chromatic scales and things, it gets less like melodiously beautiful, but it gets very technically interesting. And I think that Vildhjarta is very good at bringing in those chromatic elements, but it still is very beautiful and elegant. It seems to do both at the same time. Not saying that you can't make beautiful music if you're you know what I mean, but like I think that these people they do multiple sounds and multiple coexisting elements in a way that is very unique to them because it's very beautiful but also very like punching your teeth out. You might want to punch my teeth out for saying this. No, probably not.
It was kind of like if Evanescence had 8 strings and went nuts.
Maybe. Surprisingly, I haven't listened to a lot of Evanescence, so I don't know.
My friend Jen Majura, she played guitar for them for years.
Oh, really?
So like I went to a couple Evanescence shows, and to me it was just like they were really going for the beautiful metal thing. You know?
Of course.
And so it's very over the top, you know, very dramatic. But I can't remember the name of the singer. She's excellent. But
Amy Lee?
What's that? Amy Lee?
Amy Lee,
right.
yeah.
Very operatic, very melodic.
Yeah.
But never the you know that.
Right.
Whereas this seems to be more like occasionally they'll dip a toe in the beautiful, you know, like operatic kind of thing, but this is the next, chunk of the spectrum over for sure.
Yeah.
Still going for chaos, still going for heaviness, but there's still that element of shimmering beauty that they're trying to, maybe it's 8 to 10% of that with the rest of it. That's kind of how, that was my first impression.
No, that makes that I totally agree with that. This is, if I remember correctly, this is the only song with clean singing on it.
Oh, interesting.
There are definitely some songs where it sounds like they just kind of like poured gravel over their guitars in a really good way.
See, that's the kind of thing that would do well on my channel.
Well, that's okay.
Check out this band pouring gravel on their guitars and making music.
Like that reminds me of that guy. You ever see those guys on YouTube who they're like, I soaked a steak in toothpaste, and then
yes,
and it always turns out to be delicious. And I'm always like, I'd eat it. Yeah, I'd try it. But yeah, so that if you liked that, they have a large discography. They got a little bit more chaotic as time went on, and they kind of brought it back in. But if you like this sound, then I would check out this album. There's another band which I thought about showing you, but I decided against, called Mirar, Mirar, and they're like one of the newer people taking like those like really like quick like moments and just like maximizing that to like cranking it to 11. You know what I mean? So if you like this, I would say listen to this album, and then maybe check out Mirar as well, and it might be interesting to you. You never know.
A very beautiful hard rock band with some of those heavy moments. I think they might have only done one album, maybe a couple, but called Idiot Pilot. They have an album called Wolves. It is so good. The songwriting is just incredible, and then they go into chaos. So it's like this amazing melodic verse chorus, and then just like like, oh, okay, they're going there.
They probably did only make one album, because that's how it tends to go. You find a band and you fall in love with it, and you're like, it's like finding a new anime. You're like, oh, I'm so excited about this. One season. What? But yeah, they probably did only make one album.
Yeah, but you should check that out. It's
I will.
A really good album. Really
You'll have to write it down for me, because I won't forget it.
Okay. All right, I'm going to let's pull up the video for this, because I know there is a video.
Sure.
This is probably the song that got anyone into Meshuggah.
Oh.
Do you know this?
Oh, I know this song very well.
Okay.
This song is legendary.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we not do this one?
We can still listen to it.
Because you don't have Meshuggah on your channel.
I don't have Meshuggah on my channel. We can still listen to it, though, for your viewers, but I've heard this song
a million times. All right. Do you know their newer stuff?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Okay. I'm a poser who has really only listened to Bleed. But that's because when Bleed came out, anybody's house you went to, they were like, yo, check out this song. It's called Bleed. You were listening to Bleed like 10 times a day, because everybody wanted to show it to you, because it was really good.
Okay. Do you know
that band?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Where's the one? They had these like cool computer animated videos. The Violent Sleep of Reason, I believe, is what it's called. Where is the video?
Is that the one with all those swirling?
You're like going through this.
Yeah, I've heard that one too.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, you didn't have it on your channel, so I was like...
That's true.
Does he listen to Meshuggah?
Sometimes. A little bit. I've probably heard like maybe 5 Meshuggah songs in my life.
Oh.
What are they called? Which ones were they? I don't remember.
Okay. All right, then where should we go?
Show me something challenging.
Challenging?
Yeah, show me something that's gonna make me go, whoa.
Well, I thought a lot about it. There's just a wide I actually spent hours laboring over what are the songs that I should play for this
I was on my Spotify last night for about an hour and a half being like, oh, and there were so many ones that I wanted to pick, but I was like, I couldn't really talk about this one very well, so I'm not going to do that.
Okay. All right. You've done Devin Townsend on your channel?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Devin Townsend's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of his stuff. Everything from his solo project, Devin Townsend. What's the name of that?
Strapping Young Lad.
Didn't he do something called Punky Brewster? Not Punky Brewster. That's not it.
No, I don't think so. Maybe he did. It sounds like something he would do.
Yeah, I don't know. I've gone down he's one of my favorite singers of all time. So I've spent a lot of time listening to him and being like, man, I want to be that good.
All right, let's do Car Bomb then.
Let's do Car Bomb. Yeah, because I listened to that, but I listened to it like while I was like cleaning the house, so it was very, very like passive.
Okay.
It's very passive. So that would be a great pick.
This is from the album Meta,
which has amazing album artwork, by the way.
Yeah, it's super cool.
I love the way that album looks.
I think this track Nonagon is super cool. So let's give that a try.
So, you know what that song reminded me of? And I mean this in the best way possible.
Here we go.
It reminded me of working in the Phoenix hub at UPS.
Why?
Because I remember, so I worked for UPS for a year and a half, and I started in logistics, and then I moved to small sort supervisor at the airport. And I loved being down in the hub, which is easy to say when you've got like the polo and the clipboard and pen, and you're not doing any of the actual hard work. Right. Because there are a lot of reasons I liked being down there, but sometimes you'd be down there and there's just all this chaotic noise. But then sometimes every once in a while it would like line up and then stop lining up. So it'd be like, you know, the blinkers on cars when you're you know, they're like click, 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 and then they're off, and then
Yeah.
you're waiting, and then they're back on, and you're like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Like the DVD logo hitting the corner. Of the
yeah,
screen.
everybody's like staring, and it never happens. But you know, that mixed with all of those like grindy guitar tones,
Yeah.
everything sounded kind of like scraping something over metal or like dragging a rock over concrete. And there were all these elements where it would be like, okay, the you know, that cymbal's hitting at the same time as the kick, and now it's not, and now they're kind of catching up to each other again because you know there are all these like polyrhythmic things going on, right? And so the first thing I thought of was I was like, oh, this reminds me of like some of the cooler moments of working in the hub, because like you'd have like sounds line up and you'd be like, whoa, this is like strangely musical, and then people would be like, get back to work, and you'd be like, oh, sorry,
Right.
you know. But yeah, that's my first. Especially like you said with those like down to guitar, down to any,
Right.
Yeah, there's just like so much going on that's very. It's not. This is not genre-wise industrial. Mm-hmm. But if we're talking about industrial as like literally the sound of like factories and mechanics and like the smell of like actual metal in the air, not metal music, but like, you know, nickel and steel in the air. That's what this song is.
Well,
you know?
for me, this is the kind of metal that I get into. Like very technical. Mm-hmm. Do you know Archspire?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, so like kind of wild, unpredictable, very technical, and sort of mystifying. Like that's the kind of stuff that really gets me going. That's what I love why I love that Dillinger album, because it was like music from another planet.
Dillinger's weird, and Dillinger plus Mike Patton, I can see why that's especially weird.
Yeah, but the first Dillinger album, I couldn't count it, and same, you know, with Meshuggah, it's like I know they know this, and I know they use this imagery with gears and stuff, but that's how it is. It's like when do the gears all line up again? You know?
Yeah.
And that's what Car Bomb to me is like. You just never know what's going to happen next. Mm-hmm. And it's almost as though Buckethead does this a lot too. It's just like this musical exploration of an idea or a theme, and it feels like, is there a structure to it? It's really not clear, but it is structured. Yeah. They have put this thing together.
Okay.
And so for me, I'm like, it just borders on the line of falling apart. And that's how I feel about a lot of this kind of stuff. It's like it's so loose and seems so out of control, but so tightly controlled. I think that's amazing.
It's you know, I remember this is obviously a long time ago, but I think it was when Mastodon came out. I was home from college and I was listening to it, and my mom's like, you can't even tell what's happening, and I was like, true. But we're both receiving that in different ways.
Right,
like, that criticism is actually very accurate.
Yeah.
You can't really tell. You have to listen to the song like 10 times before you can predict it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for me, this kind of music's really fun too, because I actually don't know a lot about like music theory. Like very, very, very little. Like if like you gave me like a beat and you were like, hey, do some dotted quarters, I could be like, okay. Like I could do that. You know, I can find the major chords on the keyboard since I'm giving vocal lessons. But for me, like, I have no hope of counting any song really. Like, unless it's like very like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4,
right.
2, 3, 4. But like that, people will be like, what time signature is it? I'm like, I don't know. So I go in there.
All of them.
So for me, it's kind of like every time I listen to music like this, it's like going to another country and not speaking the language versus going there and speaking the language.
Right.
Which experience is a richer one? Hard to say.
Yeah.
You know what hard to say. And so that like, I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, I don't need music theory. It'd be great to know. But right now, I don't really know it. And so I listen to that, and I'm just like in this like sea, and I'm like, whoa.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I love that. You're just thrown in the waves, you know?
Yeah.
Don't give me a calm sea, you know?
Yeah.
Or one where the waves, I can guess exactly where they're coming, you know?
Yeah.
I like the someone could come out of nowhere and hit me in the face with a crowbar kind of feeling, you know?
So that helps me know what I'm going to pick next, because it's going to be antithetical to that. Because interestingly enough, I love music like this, but I really like over the past like 5 years, and I think it's because I'm so entrenched in metal. I really love music that has a similar vibe to like Steve Reich. You know who Steve Reich is?
Oh yeah.
Music for 13 musicians.
18, yes.
18, yeah, where it's like and then
I
like,
listened to that 150 times.
Okay.
Easily.
Well, I'm not going to show you one of those, but I love songs where it like feels like the same thing is happening, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, the song is entirely different now, and I didn't even realize it happened.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you hear like these.
Yeah.
You know, the soundtrack for Arrival was great because it had similar vibes to that.
Right.
Johan Johansson, rest in peace. Yeah. So.
All right. What's next then?
I'm gonna let you guide us a little bit.
Okay.
So I brought a lot of black metal, not exclusively, but I brought a lot of black metal because that's my favorite metal genre and one that you never get to talk about on the channel.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. One, it's not just as a lover of black metal, it's not generally as like vocally diverse, so there's going to be less educational to talk to. Also, black metal has a little bit of a Nazi problem, unfortunately.
A Nazi problem.
Yeah, you'll find a band and you're like, this is
a little bit of a Nazi problem.
Yeah, you'll find a band. No, this is true. You'll find a band and you'll love them and you'll be like, this is amazing. And then you'll Google them and you'll see a certain flag symbol or them doing a specific wave, if you know what I mean. And you're like, no, why?
Right.
So. There are multiple reasons. These bands are all safe. These bands are all safe.
So you bring that up to just warn us. It's not what we're going to hear.
No.
It's that like you might in your research come across these things, and there's plenty of good stuff to find. That
if you love black metal, you have to do some homework, and that's mostly why I don't do it on the channel. So there are 3. So there's Lantlôs, which is a black metal album. Written in 2000 from it's from Norway. Incredibly ahead of its time, and in my opinion, the best black metal album ever written.
Okay.
There's the song Pulse Surreal by Lantlôs, which is a fusion of multiple genres and one of the most influential bands for like my band Kardashev's writing.
Okay.
Like Kardashev would not exist if it weren't for Lantlôs. And then there's, I don't know how to say it, Katera, Brazilian outfit that has all the vibes of black metal, but none of the like overdriven guitars. Harsh vocals sometimes, but mostly acoustic sounds, carrying the vibe of black metal.
Well, I think the mention of Steve Reich, I never know what the right way is.
I don't either.
Yeah. Let's do with Pulses, the Pulse song.
So I don't have anything.
Second one.
I don't have anything exactly like that. Pulse.
Okay.
So Pulse Surreal is not exactly like that.
That's
Pulse
okay.
Surreal's, okay, we'll do Pulse Surreal because it's one of the best songs I've ever written, but it's not very Steve Reichy.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. I love this song. This song, Pulse. Where am I stupid? Don't answer that. Here it is. So this song, one of the most influential songs in like my musicianship journey.
All right.
Yeah, very important song in my life. Here we go. Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. I can tell you about it after this. It doesn't have to be.
That's very vibey.
I love vibey music.
Is that what black metal's about?
So you're gonna get different answers from different people, but for me, black metal is. I mean, there are so many different genres under black metal. There's like true cold. There's atmospheric black metal. There's symphonic black metal. There's all these things, but I tend to really love black metal that is heavy on atmosphere, heavy on vibes. I love, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. So when I was younger, most of my family lives in Tennessee and Georgia, like in the South. And I remember we went to visit my aunt and uncle in Tennessee, and I was only like 12. And I remember, so Tennessee doesn't really snow a whole lot, right? There's not like tons and tons of snow, but for whatever reason, and my aunt and uncle were living in an apartment at the time. This is before they bought their house. For whatever reason, there was this like crazy snowstorm. There's this insane snowstorm. Insane to me, you know, a little 12-year-old from Arizona. But I remember going outside in my little sweater.
3 inches of snow.
Probably. But I remember the wind was so strong, like my nose and my eyelids hurt.
Yeah.
And I remember like my skin was numb, and I remember the snow, it was like icy, and it was like hitting my face, and it kind of hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. So I stood out there, and my mom opened the door, and she's like, "Come inside." I was like, "No." I was like, it was physically uncomfortable, but yet it was so amazing. And I just loved like this very consistent, like, and it was like this cutting icy wind. And then when I first discovered black metal, one of my first things was like, this is that, but music. This is like, and for me, like I don't know for sure, but like I'm 100% confident I have some like hardcore ADHD, like hardcore ADHD, big time, which is part of the reason why I've had to make myself such a planned person if I want to see any success in life, right? And so when I have music like this, that's very like there's a lot going on, but it's very much like like it makes all like the mess stop, and I'm just able to like, one of my favorite things to do is to cook, especially things that like require a lot of really fast like heat and searing, because it's I listen to a lot of brown noise. Straight up I do.
Yeah.
So like black metal, it has melody and music, or music obviously, like melody and it's like all these beautiful things, but almost every black metal song you ever listen to is going to have because it's mixed and mastered in a way that a lot of people would consider is quite poor. A lot of people really, that's the biggest turnoff for them.
It just doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it just sounds like really lo-fi. And for me, the first time I heard that, I was like, oh. It was scratching that itch in my brain that like I could not reach. And Lantlôs is one of my favorite bands to do it. They do all sorts of crazy stuff. And they've had an interesting, like that album that's more pink. That's just like a pure like post-rock album. The Screamer, the guy who did the screaming in the band, he left. He started a band called Alcest.
Okay.
Right? And so it was just the guy you see there, and he's like, well, I don't really want to learn how to scream. And legitimately, he went on a summer trip with his friends and had a really good time. And he's like, I don't really want to write mad music anymore. I want to write music that's more hopeful. And so it's a totally different vibe. So it's a really interesting band. I love them, as you can tell.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So that's an hour and 7 minutes. It's probably a good time to wrap.
That's a long time. Yeah. Wow. That's all we got through in an hour and 7 minutes?
That's all we got.
Sheesh! Well, I'll give you some more. Do you have like a short one you want to finish with, though?
I was thinking maybe you should hear some of that Dillinger.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Patton. I think it's called Irony is a Dead Scene. Yeah. 4 tracks. Let me just preview.
Sure. Okay.
It's the shortest one. It's called Pig Latin. And I'd love to get your...
Perfect. Let's do it.
Your face is going to be
front
and center on this one.
Okay.
Pig Latin. Here we go.
Yeah. loves his panning.
Yeah.
Dude loves his panning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's this obviously I don't remember exactly which part it was, but he was doing like these quick like pulse like dot, 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 and it was like panned. It was nothing down the center, panned in both of these directions.
Right.
Levels entirely different.
Yeah.
Levels entirely different. So it felt like heavy on this ear. But that was intentional. It had to have been.
Oh yeah.
You know. So I leaned forward early on because I wanted to see what year this came out, because like I'm convinced that a lot of big bands were fans of Mike Patton, because at the beginning he's singing very like MCR, like his singing is very MCR. You know what I mean? But what's interesting is he's doing a lot of stuff that, and there's obviously like the stuff that's blatantly not like your typical singing technique, like he was like ching-a, ding-a, like that sort of thing. But then he'll do other things that are like definitely like he's within like the clean singing realm, but he's doing things that you normally wouldn't do. Right. Like there's this one part near the end where he's like singing this chorus, this chorus. There are like 4 or 5 of them, and it slows down a little bit. And one, I'm pretty sure I don't have access to the stems, of course. Neither of us do, as far as you don't have access to these stems. I wish you did.
I don't think I do.
Should be cool if you did. Because sometimes you crack open a song and you're like, oh, that is not what I thought was going on. But other times you crack it open and you're like, I knew it.
Yeah.
But it sounded like there were two vocal layers, one of which he was singing hypodasally, like he was very purposely singing right here like that, like plugged up nose, and then another one sounded like it had like a lowered soft palate. It was almost like very like Ronald Weasley, you know what I mean? But it sounded really cool because it was all balanced very well. Like if he had put that like and again I could be wrong, but if he had put that like lowered soft palate like in the front, it would have been like, what are you doing? But like mixed in to where you're like, does he have a lowered soft palate? Yeah. Is it weird? But it sounded really cool. I would love to know. Obviously, this, like you said, is Dillinger and Mike Patton. But it'd be really interesting to know what his like songwriting process looks like.
I know, yeah. Because he doesn't really do interviews.
No, well, not that I've ever found.
He's done some, but yeah, nothing really exploring that. But his music across all of his catalog is so diverse. I really don't think it matters. It's just like whatever works at the time. Yeah. And there's live performances of him with keyboards and just making sounds and vocalizing, and some of it's highly orchestrated and some of it is just, it's not.
I do not have that brain power.
Yeah, I think he's just a genius on another planet.
Like to be able to like keep track of all those elements of chaos and like freestyle it. Yeah. Forget it. Yeah. There's no chance. Like I could freestyle metal vocals over like a very compositionally predictable.
No, but his stuff. I mean, you talk about ADHD. I mean, the music is so ADHD.
Yeah. It gets tired of one thing and moves to the next.
Each little chunk is like a totally different technique, But that's much more like a Mr. Bungle kind of track where you just really. There's no reason to expect what's coming next,
If you try, you're missing the point, I think.
Exactly.
If you try, you're missing the point. And that's if you were like sitting down and you were trying to figure out this song, then I think maybe you wouldn't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm a noob. I'm a noob Mike Patton fan.
No, the point is just enjoy it, let it happen, and be affected by it.
Yeah.
Don't be passive with that kind of stuff. I think Mike is just like, he's not going to let you just put it on in the background.
Mike is Mike.
There are a lot of Mikes, but he's one of them.
There are a lot of Mikes, but he is, Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm glad we ended on that one, because that was a very wild. How long was that? Yeah, that was a wild 3.5 minutes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that was a good send off.
Right on. Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for letting me play some songs that I never get to talk about.
Yeah, and let's do it again. After this comes out, maybe in a couple months we'll do another one.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.